time to start putting the doors and the panels on the body, but before I do that I want to show you what was the condition of the doors that came with the car. Somebody attempted to repair them, but what they actually did was they covered the holes with aluminum foil and duct tape, believe it or not, and put Bondo on top, and they believed they were done. But anyways, my boss Jake insisted, and we bought some other doors from donor car. They had very solid lip underneath. They had some other problems, but much easier to work with. These are the doors. As you can see, they have some dents here and there, some rust, but I believe these are much easier to be patched. They're not even fastened yet. Yeah, you see the lip is really solid, so we're gonna start with these doors and we'll see what's gonna happen. So I started by mounting the hood and aligned it with the top of the bulkhead, because for me that's the starting point, because everything else can be adjusted, the fenders, the doors, the hood, but the top of the bulkhead is solid, it doesn't move, so I needed to start from there. Later I could align the fenders with the hood, then the doors with the fenders, etc. But if I've done it the other way around, I probably would have ended with the gap at the windshield side of the hood, which I wouldn't be able to play with. I just used a couple of fasteners per panel in the beginning, because I knew that there was gonna be a lot of adjustments, so I was just fastening them temporarily. Then I proceeded with the front passenger side fender, or for the guys in the UK, the front driver side fender. That's why I prefer to use right hand side and left hand side, but everybody uses passenger and driver side, so whatever. I'm in Canada, so I'm gonna say this is the passenger side. Again, just a couple of fasteners to keep it in place while I align the rest of the panels. So here right away I noticed that the hood needed to be lifted up a little. Then the other fender went in. And this is after maybe 30-40 minutes of trying to align it. So the gaps are pretty decent. I can touch a little bit here and there still, but I have one main concern, and this is the curve on the hood. As I said in my previous video, this hood is not the original from this car. We bought it again used from another car, but I don't know why the curve looks pretty straight. Actually, there's no curve. As you can see here, the front end of the fender and the hood align. The rear end, also the one on the windshield side, aligns, I mean up and down, but here in the middle there's a huge difference. Like the fender has nice curve and the hood is very straight. But anyways, I have to think about that and figure out how to deal with it. In the meantime, I put those stabilizers and try to fasten everything as solid as possible with as many fasteners as possible, so I can proceed with the doors. So the doors are actually the component that has all kinds of adjustments. Like it can adjust only the top end or the bottom end, in, out, up, down. There's so many adjustments there that usually, that's my logic again, is the component that I can use as a buffer, let's say, for all errors that might happen on the car. So I aligned pretty much the front end. I also aligned the rear fenders. I didn't show it here, but they don't have too much alignment. They're pretty much solid. They have just a little bit of alignment from the mounting screws, but it's almost like nothing. I even tried, you'll see later, I even tried to push the fender forward a little bit to close the gap between the door and the rear fender, but I couldn't do too much there. So the doors are, as I said, the buffer for all the mistakes, for all the errors that can happen on the car. And as you can see at the end, the gaps that I achieved were not that bad. I had to put a little bit of shims at the back between the frame and body under the trunk, and I can't do any more. I did like more than half an inch. I think I'm almost at 3/4 of an inch there, and from there the gap is still too big at the top of the door, between the door and the rear fender, but I think I'm gonna weld a little bit on the door to minimize this gap. I'm gonna play with the welder here. On the other side I have the opposite situation to the one on the left side. The door almost looks like it is too big for there, but no, it's fine. The gaps here are much smaller. Even on the bottom rear end of the door, the gap is actually, there's no gap there. The door touches the rear fender. I will see if I can adjust a little bit the fender at the bottom, or I will have to trim the door a little bit. But yeah, this side was a little bit easier to work on. Important part of the whole alignment also is the windshield frame. Many people underestimate this factor, but it's very important, because if the windshield frame is not aligned well, it won't align with the windows on the doors when they're cranked all the way up. Also, the frame for the soft top needs to be aligned with the windows. So I took out the windshield frame because I had to put the gasket underneath, because that's also very important. If I pushed it in without the gasket, it might have gone too far in, and the alignment wouldn't be the right one. Anyways, then I figured out that the threads on the mounting bolts were really rusty, so I had to put the nuts there with some WD-40 and spin them in and out a couple of times. And after that I mounted the gasket, which was actually hard hard to do, and then I mounted the frame on the car. With the windshield frame in place, I cranked up the windows to see what I was dealing with. Hopefully everything was gonna be okay. But it wasn't. When the window was all the way up, I couldn't even close the door. So So I brought it a little bit down just so I can lift the soft top frame to see how does it align with the windshield frame, and this part at least worked perfectly. But you see here the gap between the window and the frame is totally uneven, and on top of it I couldn't even lift the window all the way up. So this one fits a little bit better, just a little bit, and not really, because the top is touching the weather strip, but here I have a like maybe a quarter inch of a gap. We have here a customer's TR6, and I just checked, it fits perfectly. I mean, there is a gap here, but it's oh yeah, the window is not all the way up. So, but you see, it's perfectly even, and on the other side too. You see, it's touching. I don't know how good you can see, but it's touching perfectly the weather strip. So what I'm gonna do is, well, actually what I did was I forgot to press the button, the recording button on the camera. So I'm gonna have to tell you what I did. I loosened the screws on the mounts for the windshield frame that are in the footwell. Actually, there's one screw which is outside, it's holding also the front fender and the mount of the windshield frame. So these mounts can move. Somebody told me that the windshield frame cannot be adjusted at all, but actually there is a little bit of adjustment in the windshield frame, and that comes from the mounts inside the footwells. So I did that, I loosened those, I pushed a little bit with my shoulder on the left side and I fastened the screws, and then I did the same on the right side, and there I pushed a lot and I fastened the screws, and actually that gave me just enough for a better alignment of the right side window and windshield frame. Then I aligned also the soft top frame, and I think it went pretty well. So this is the best I could do. The gap is now this weather strip, actually I'm gonna remove it so it's not giving me wrong impression. So the gap is pretty even here. Hope you can see well. And I aligned also the frame for the top. So I think on this side we are fine. The other side though couldn't do much better than this. I'm gonna remove this weather strip too. Okay. So there is a little bit difference on this side between that bottom and top, and for some reason I can't align it better than that, but I think that's good enough. And now with the doors aligned, I could remove the latches from the old ones and mount them on the new ones and make them close. A little bit of alignment was needed here too. I also put a piece of gasket that I had left over from the Spitfire. Just wanted to make sure that the door can be closed with the gasket in place, because that might be an issue too. The lip for the gasket was a little bit bent from somebody, so I had to straighten it a little, and this door was pretty much done. I did the same on the other side, and with that the alignment of all the panels is almost done. I just have two more things to deal with, but about that in the next video.